What's going on, everyone? Welcome back to YGOPD, your Yu-Gi-Oh! Professional Development, and today I have something hopefully a little bit spicy to you, something a little bit unorthodox. I have been testing some of the Tistina stuff and trying to find a good home for it. I think it needs another wave of support to be good, and it does have a long way to go, but also has a lot of potential, and I've had a lot of fun testing a Go Second build of Kashtira with Tistina. I guess you could call this KashTINA. That has been what we've been calling it kind of locally. Big shout out to all of my testing group that has really helped me kind of flesh this out and get some initial testing in, as well as running back at locals to kind of get a handle on the deck. I think there's a few changes that can be made, but so far it feels pretty solid. Sonny, Johnny, all my group, Grant, everyone, Mario has been a huge help with me in this. I want to say the disclaimer is I think this is a little bit format dependent, because if you know Tistina a little bit, you know your opponent has to control 3 face-up cards. So if you're in a format where you're facing a lot of Labyrinth and stuff, maybe that's not that great. But if your local area has maybe more Dragon Link and Pearly and things like that, this might be a neat little meta call as an engine to throw in the deck. So again, this is going second Kashtira with the Tistina engine. I want to shout out all of our new public subs of the channel. Christian, Michael, and Mauricio, thank you all so much for joining. If you would like to be included in the public sub shout out for next video, make sure your subscriptions are public when you subscribe so I know who you are and I can include you in that. With all that said, we'll go ahead and hop right into the main deck. Okay, starting with the main deck, this is going to be a pretty straightforward Kashtira package. Obviously, the deck is still just Kashtira, but more of a going second build, utilizing the Testina cards as board breakers. So we have triple Fenrir and double Unicorn. That is also very standard. In line with that, we are on double Rise Heart. Again, you need some places to make slots. You can get away with 2. I'm fine with 2. I think there's a lot of people that go back and forth on 1, 2, or 3 of this card, depending on the build. I think 2 is kind of the sweet spot. I don't think I would really run 3. You don't want to brick on it, but if you open it, it's a nice extender, and it's even better just to search it anyway. After that is just the 1 Scareclaw Kashtira. That's a pretty standard package. For the Kashtira spells, again, just 3 planet, not much to be said here. One of the best cards ever printed for the deck. 3 Theosis, we got to play the E-Telly. It's one of the really insane. After that, we play triple Birth. Again, this is all pretty straightforward. The only thing that differs here is that's it for the cash stuff. We are not on Big Bang. We do side the one of Big Bang. Again, we are wanting to go second with this. In enough testing, I just felt it wasn't needed right away. I knew in matches where I either wanted to go first because of the matchup, like I didn't want to get Eradicated into Labyrinth and just would rather go first, or if I knew they were going to make me go first, I would side in the Big Bang. It's not terrible if you still want to play it in here, since you can get rid of it with Scareclaw Cash. But at the end of the day, going second, it was just another brick that was like an easy kind of card to just keep out of the main deck and make room for a few other things. So that's it for the cash package, more or less straightforward there. And then for general non-engine cards, we are on Triple Prosperity. Again, this card is just really, really good, especially in cash, but also even in this variant, because you're already seeing a 6th card. So Prosperity technically goes 1 card deeper. Adding the extra starters from Tistina, this deck has 19 starters that all get you into engine. Cards like Planet, this Prosperity technically being one of them based on how the math shakes out, Fenrir, Unicorn, as well as the Tistina stuff, and then including also set rotation in a Terraforming. Another nice addition to help the consistency of the deck, since the Testina rely on a field spell, as well as turning off cards like Evenly Matched, should you really desire to do something like that. But not really coming up that much, again, because we're going second, but it just has neat application, set rotation for this deck. And then hand traps, triple Ash, pretty standard there. And then I'm opting on Droll here. The question you might have is, why aren't you playing Shifter? In this build, I typically side Shifter. I think Droll is sufficient enough this format. A lot of decks really, I think, sometimes get hit harder by Droll right now as we're in kind of the figuring out Dune phase than Shifter does. And also with the Testina stuff for the field spell to resolve, you do technically need to send a Testina from your deck to grave to get the special summon to happen. It does not have to send as cost as part of the effect, but it still needs to happen in order to resolve successfully. So this is the second best hand trap, I think, of the format right now, aside from a card like Shifter, that you can still main and get away with in this deck. And then after that, we wrap it up with the 3 Imperm and finally 2 Talents. This card I was iffy on, but this has really come in clutch. Being able to take something from Labyrinth, their Lady, and then tributing it off for Eradicator was insane. That has come up for me a little bit. Just the hand rip, the knowledge, all that kind of stuff. Being able to take monsters and push for game is just really, really good. I think Talents is overall probably one of the better cards that you can run if you have a couple flex spots and have them lying around. For the main part you've been waiting for, the Tistina stuff. Starting off, we have 3 Sentinel of the Tistina. So all the Tistina little monsters have the effect where if there's a light Tistina on the board, you can special it. That's not really going to come up. I wish this was a tuner. That would just be absolutely insane. The effect that matters the most is you can basically target either a Tistina monster or a face down card you control, destroy it, and then add any Tistina card from your deck to your hand, including itself, which is interesting. But you typically will just have this as your normal summon, pop itself, and then search the field spell. So it's just a starter to get you to the field spell. And then speaking of the field spell, we have 3 Domain. This is the best card for the engine and just does so much. It turbos out the Crystal God that does everything. This has just a regular effect as a once per turn. It doesn't happen on activation, unfortunately, so Ghost Ogre does hit this. But you can dump a Tistina monster from your deck to your grave, and then if your opponent has at least 3 face-up cards on the field or more, you can turbo out the Crystal God Tistina from your hand or your deck. That's really, really important that it can come from hand as well. And then the secondary effect is this card is destroyed by your opponent's card. You can then bring a Tistina out from your deck or grave, so you can even cycle the big boy. And speaking of the big boy, this card is crazy. It puts so much pressure on the board. I really just do love playing this engine. It's just so unique. It does the same effect twice, but it happens based on different conditions. The first is a regular once per turn during your main phase. You essentially can book all monsters your opponent controls, and then anything it did not book face down, it sends to the graveyard. Anything that's left face up, that means links, field spells, floodgates, anything like that that's left, it just gets rid of it. So that's really cool. The second effect is it does it that same thing again, but that happens if it's destroyed by your opponent's card, either by battle or card effects. So you could summon this, and then if they Baron, negate, and destroy it, which has come up, it'll trigger again and still wipe their board. Or worst case, you can summon it, activate the effect, they hit it with Imperm or something, you crash into one of their monsters, this triggers again, books everything, clears all their stuff, and then your board is open just to do cash plays. So it's really insane. Even sometimes just hard normaling this can come up because cash doesn't really need its normal summon or hardly ever uses it. So there's just a lot of wiggle room to play with this, and this just fishes out so many negates and interruptions and clears a lot. So it's really, really cool. I really like this deck. The engine is insane. Even if you think this idea is dumb, I still think the Testina has a ton of potential. Shout out to my boy Anthony. We were kind of talking about that. And he really just convinced me to say, like, I think, to at least hold on to this engine. It's going to probably pop off hopefully soon. It just needs 1 or 2 more cards to be absolutely broken. With how cheap they are, I don't think there's any reason not to grab these cards. They're really, really cool, and I've just had a lot of fun using them in this variant. So for the extra deck, it's about as toolbox, I think, as you can get for cash. I don't think anything is anything crazy. 1 Arise Heart, unfortunately, rip. Then 2 Shangri-Ira, pretty straightforward there. Double Zeus, again, pretty straightforward. And then the rest are kind of one-ups here and there. 1 Mountain Smasher, this has come up. This is, if you haven't seen this tech pop up, I think from Worlds, or not Worlds, Nationals, sorry. Basically, if it destroys something by battle, it then attaches itself to it. So it's just a way that you use 2 level 7s to get a 4 material Zeus on the board. 1 Big Eye, 1 Draco Sack. This card is MVP. The fact that it tributes itself to out skill drain. Shout out to my boy Noah convincing me that this card is still really good. I just hadn't really been using it, and it hadn't really come up. And then, like, ever since I started playing it, it just comes up all the time. Like, this is just how you deal with pretty much any floodgate or weird things that you just need to get rid of. 1 Red Eye Splair Metal, of course, you got to have it for time in the round. 1 Baron, just comes up every now and then, obviously, with Ash is standard. And then just for a few general prosperity targets, 1 Omega, 1 Entis, 1 Goliath. You could play other things, but I think these 3 are fine. And then after that, just 1 Lingaribo. I still have some folks on Sprite with the Ibly lock happening, and then 1 Donner. Again, same idea with that, but that's the extra deck. About as toolbox as you can get, I think. And then the side deck might need a little work, but I'm happy with what it is for now in initial testing. 3 Shifter. Again, one of the best hand traps ever. This is just an easy side in and side out. That's kind of the cool thing about the Tistina stuff too, is it gives you about 7 to 8 slots that you can just switch around for whatever you want. You could main deck Lance or something like that too if you want for that kind of stuff. And then 2 Bell, again, still respecting branded, even though that's kind of fallen off for some reason. I still don't know really why exactly, but after that, 2 Cosmic Cyclone, again, just something to respect anti-spell. 2 Kurikara. I wanted some way outside of tactics to deal with Towers-esque monsters, or even a card like Noir now that Pearly is back into the fray, and this just does it really well. And then paying tribute to the kind of world's concept, we have 2 Eradicator, 2 Dimensional Barrier, and then the 1 Trap Trick. And then the 15th card, like I said before, is just the 1 Big Bang. Pretty straightforward there. I typically side this in with a lot of my other stuff for cash, out with the Tistina to swap in and out. But that is the deck. That is Kashtira with Tistina or KashTINA. I've had a lot of fun with this as a going second build. No one expects this. No one knows what these cards do right now. So if you're in a format or a local area where there's not many back row decks and you just have combo heavy stuff that's not necessarily turn skip oriented, shout out to Manadium, I would definitely recommend trying this. It's just been insane. It's fun. It's cool. And it just gives me an excuse to tool around with different new things from Dune deck by deck. Just picked up Rescue Ace and a few other things that I'm getting ready to showcase on the channel that I'm really excited for. But with all that said, thank you all so much for watching, and I will see you all in the next one. Later.